Brain of Britain, 1980.
So welcome everybody. This is a run with some of the best modern quizzes of the 1980 Brain of Britain Grand Final. So we have Kathryn Johnson in seat 1, Diane Hallagan, seat 2, Dave McBryan, seat 3, and Paul Sinha, seat 4. We did a random draw beforehand, and Kathryn gets the honour of going first. If everybody's ready, we will begin the quiz with question 1, which goes to Kathryn. Kathryn, what is the chief town of Jersey?
St. Helier.
Correct. The main street in Leningrad might remind you of a river or a Russian national hero. What is the street called?
Nevsky Prospekt.
Correct. How many lines did the British UHF transmission system use?
425.
No, that's over. Okay, Diane?
405.
No. Dave?
625.
625 for a bonus point to Dave. Control passes to Diane. Diane, what was the name of the law passed in 1495 which made the Irish Parliament subordinate to the English Parliament and the Privy Council?
I don't know.
No. Okay, then passing it over, we had a buzz from Dave.
Is the Act of Supremacy now?
No, it's not the Act of Supremacy. Anybody else?
Nope.
No. It's Poyning's Law or the Statute of Drogheda. Okay, so we move on to Dave, your question. What modern animal did the prehistoric mastodon resemble?
It's like an elephant, but with a shovel instead of a...
Yeah, correct, elephant. What book by Somerset Maugham has the alternative title The British Agent?
The Moon and Sixpence?
No, Diane's got a buzz.
Ashenden?
Ashenden, correct for Diane for a point. Fourth question. What soldier of the Second World War was nicknamed Old Blood and Guts by his men?
Patton?
Yep, George Patton is correct for one. And staying on Patton, who played Old Blood and Guts in the film Patton and apparently refused an Oscar for his work?
George C. Scott.
Correct. Which English king married Caroline of Brunswick?
George IV.
Correct. Which London building, originally built in 1705, was remodelled by John Nash in 1830, completed by Edward Blore and refronted by Sir Aston Webb in 1913?
Buckingham Palace.
Correct. And your fifth question. Who wrote the plays Strife, The Silver Fox and The Skin Game?
Bond.
No. We got any other buzzes? No, it's John Galsworthy. So, end of the first round, and the scores are 2 to Kathryn, 1 to Diane, 2 to Dave, 4 to Paul. So, Kathryn, what is the city of Kanpur in India now called officially? And you have to spell the answer.
Kanpur, spelled Canpur.
I have to pass that. Paul, did you buzz?
Kanpur.
Yes, Kanpur. So Paul gets a bonus. And we move on to Diane. What's the chemical name for laughing gas?
Nitrous oxide.
Correct. In what year did Hillary and Tenzing reach the summit of Mount Everest?
1952.
No.
Rubbish.
Dave?
1953.
1953. Dave takes the bonus. And Dave, your questions. Who captained the England rugby team in the 1979-80 season that won the Grand Slam, Triple Crown and the Five Nations Championship?
I could name Irish captains of that era, but I don't think I could name English ones. No, I don't think I've got anything useful to offer. Pass.
No. We've had a buzz from Paul.
Bill Beaumont.
Bill Beaumont's correct.
Oh, God, okay, could have thought of him. Bloody hell.
And Paul's questions. Which Tsar of Russia moved his capital from Moscow in 1712?
The Great.
It is Peter the Great, yeah. So it was suggested in 1979 that the singer you are going to hear should be nominated for an Oscar. Can you tell me her name?
Don Elliman.
No. Anybody have a guess?
Was it Miss Piggy?
It was Miss Piggy, yes. Point to Kathryn. Now we have 3 to Kathryn,
Yeah.
2 to Diane, 3 to Dave, and 7 to Paul. And we start round 3. Kathryn, why are certain species of shrike known as the butcher bird?
Because they hang their prey on hooks or twigs on fences.
Yeah, correct. What novel did F. Scott Fitzgerald leave unfinished at his death?
This Side of Paradise?
No.
Last Tycoon.
Last Tycoon for 1 to Paul, yeah. Diane, your question. What arm of the British forces has the motto per mare per terram?
Special boat services.
No. Paul?
Royal Marines.
Correct. So we move on to Dave. Dave, what is the principal ingredient of gunpowder?
Potassium nitrate.
Dave, you're correct. So Dave, your next question. What animal of the old world does the new world guanaco resemble? That's Guanaco.
Animal of the old world. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a llama or alpaca, but that's okay. I guess the closest thing in the old world is a camel.
Camel is correct, yeah. What is the name of the main channel through which the Rhine reaches the sea?
Mars?
No, it's the Vaal. So we move on to Paul. Paul, what was the name of the first living creature to be put into Earth orbit?
Hiker.
Yes. What was the nationality of the victims of the massacre known as the Sicilian Vespers?
French.
Correct. St. Jude is the patron saint of what?
Lost Causes.
Yeah. In a book by Damon Runyon, in what sort of a contest was Joel Duffel, representing Boston, Massachusetts, matched against Miss Violet Schoenberger, representing New York City, and deputizing for Quentin Jones, whose nickname was Nicely Nicely?
Beauty Contest.
No. Have we got a buzz anywhere? Oh, Kathryn.
Spitting?
No. Not a million miles off. It was an eating contest from the story A Piece of Pie. Now we have Kathryn on 4, Diane on 2, Dave on 5, and Paul in the lead on 11. Kathryn, of which metal is galena ore a major source?
Lead?
Yes. What organisation has twice received the Nobel Peace Prize?
Red Cross?
Correct. What was the name of the 18th century French literary imposter friend of Dr. Johnson, who pretended first to be a Japanese Christian, then a pagan from Formosa?
Salmanazar?
Yes, correct. Just as a note, that was not got in the 1980 final. What country was first called Statenland, sometimes later called Stateland, by the man who discovered it?
Could you spell the country, please?
Yeah, Staten, Staten. So which country was first called Statenland?
The USA, America?
No, I've got a buzz from Paul.
Australia.
No. Dave?
New Zealand?
New Zealand is correct for 1 to Dave. Diane, in music, who were Nigel Perrin, Alistair Kew, Bill Ives, Anthony Holt, Simon Carrington, and Brian Kay?
King's singers.
Excellent, very good. That wasn't got in the final of 1980 either.
Sorry.
What name is given to the wars that ended in 1849 by the British victories at Chilianwala and Gujarat?
The Sikh Wars.
Correct.
Is it? Oh my God.
The boundaries of the continental shelf broadly follow what depth in fathoms?
No idea really. 10 fathoms.
No, Dave, you buzzed?
From fathoms to meters is about 100.
100 fathoms is correct. Bonus point to Dave. And Dave, we're on to your questions now. Who in Dickens was the father of the infant phenomenon?
Oh. Copperfield.
No, if we've got a buzz in there. I think, Paul, is that a buzz from you?
Crummles.
It is Vincent Crummles, the actor-manager, yes. And Paul, your questions. The historian Lord Dacre of Glanton took his seat in the House of Lords. Under what name was he known as a historian?
Trevor Roper.
Yeah, Hugh Trevor Roper is correct. There are 2 ski resorts that are known as Isola 2000 and Voriez 1800. What is the significance of the numbers?
Time at which après-ski officially begins.
oh, would that it were, would that it were. Anybody else? Dave, you've got a guess?
Altitude.
Yeah, it's the height above
Oh,
sea
you're
level.
joking, that was it.
Yeah. So we have Kathryn on 7, Diane on 4, Dave on 8, and Paul on 13. Kathryn, we're going to start this next round with a music question. This music inspired a story by a Russian writer, which itself inspired more music, this time by a Czech. Who wrote this piece of music that started that whole sequence?
Beethoven?
It is Beethoven. That was the Kreutzer Sonata, which inspired Tolstoy and then Janáček. Which 19th century Prime Minister was known in his youth as the Honourable Archibald Philip Primrose. A little bit later, he was called Lord Dalmeny.
Rosebery?
Correct. What poet was described as magnificently unprepared for the long littleness of life by another rather unctuous poet?
Byron?
No. Oh, I've got Dave Buzz.
Shelley?
No. Paul?
Wordsworth.
No. Diane?
Keats.
No, it was Rupert Brooke, as described by Francis Cornford. Now we're moving on to Diane. What is another name for the bird sometimes called the landrail? Not falling for you, are they, Diane?
No, they're really not. No, I don't know.
Okay, it's Kathryn?
Coot?
No, it's the corncrake.
Corncrake.
No.
Okay, Dave. 2 communist countries celebrated the 30th anniversary of their establishment in October 1979. Can you name them both? So 2 communist countries that were 30 years old in October 1979.
Okay, so East Germany's got to be one. No, that's the wrong one. Yugoslavia?
No, we've got a buzz. Paul?
Kampuchea.
No. Diane?
Oh, no, I know what it is.
East Germany, Cuba?
No, unfortunately not. Kathryn?
No.
Okay, it's East Germany
China.
and China. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
India.
of course it is.
And we're
Think
down
beyond
to
Europe.
Paul. The capital of Mozambique was called Lourenço Marques when it was under Portuguese rule. What has it been known as since independence?
Maputo.
Correct. What in human terms are a pigeon pair?
Pigeon pear.
Yeah.
Floating ribs.
No. Diane, I've got a buzz from you.
It's a pair of twins who are male and female.
Correct. And that's the end of the round. Kathryn moves on to 9. Diane moves on to 5. Dave stays at 8. Paul goes to 14. Kathryn? Which English king owned a dog named Caesar which walked in his funeral procession?
Edward VII.
Correct. What in the field of economics and world trade does the abbreviation SDR stand for?
Standard deviation rate.
No. Have we got a buzz anywhere? No, it's the special drawing rights. Diane, your question. What 20th century French review of literature and the arts is known by the initials NRF?
No, I don't know.
Paul?
Not going to believe what I'm about to guess. National Revue France.
No. Dave?
I was about to guess much the same thing, but with Française rather than France.
No. And Kathryn?
Nouvelle Revue Française.
Correct to Kathryn.
Oh,
Kathryn.
Good work.
And we're on to Dave. What would a member of the British Appaloosa Society be especially interested in? No.
Texas?
No. Diane?
Guessing horses.
It's horses, yes. So points Diane. Paul? What groups of people were known by the collective noun a dignity, as in a dignity of?
Dave's?
No. Dave, I've got a buzz.
Clergy?
Could I have a prompt on that?
Oh, bishops.
No. Kathryn?
Magistrates?
No. According to 1980s Brain of Britain, it's canons of the church. So that's the end of the round. More progress made by Kathryn in that round. He moves on to 11. Diane moves to 6. And Dave and Paul both stay where they are on 8 and 14 respectively. Kathryn.
Last time I heard a question, I knew the answers.
Well, it's funny. In the actual final, there were a lot of rounds where every question was answered correctly, just not by the person
No,
question
yeah.
it was. And compared to the current Brain of Britain, they had a lot of rounds. Kathryn, what 3 countries have a shoreline on the Yellow Sea?
Yeah, let's see. China, Mongolia, and Russia.
No, it's Dave.
China, South Korea, and North Korea.
Correct, 1 point to Dave. Diane. Emlyn Williams did 3 one-man shows. Dickens was probably his best known. Can you name one of the other 2 people he portrayed?
Short answer is no, but the long answer is I'll have a guess at somebody. Edward Lear.
No. Paul?
Lewis Carroll.
No. Anybody else want to guess? Kathryn?
St. John?
No. Dave? No. Okay, he did Dylan Thomas or Saki. H. Munro. Dave, your question.
Yeah.
Can you name one of the 2 people whose alleged correspondence was included in the so-called casket letters?
Elizabeth I?
No, so I've got buzz from Paul.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
It is Mary Queen of Scots or the Earl of Bothwell.
Ah, my dear.
And Paul, to finish the round with your questions, if you had held the post of an auspex in ancient Rome, what would your job have been and how would you have done it?
Entrails telling the future.
No, so that goes to Diane.
I thought it was telling the future in some way. I thought it was looking at bones and things, was it? Oh,
No, so that's not the entire answer. Dave? No, hang on. Kathryn.
Is it just dice?
No. Kathryn?
The flight of birds.
It is the flight of birds.
oh brilliant. Yeah.
Telling the future by the flight of birds, so that's the end of the round. Some movement there. Kathryn moves on to 12. Diane stays at 6. Dave moves to 9. Paul moves to 15. Kathryn, your question. So, who was the colonel whom Sherlock Holmes said was the 2nd most dangerous man in London?
Sebastian Moran.
Correct. To what fish family do the coalfish, the ling, and the whiting all belong?
Chord?
Yes. In bell ringing, various suffixes like doubles, majors, minors, and so on are attached to the name of the method being rung. What do these suffixes denote?
How many times that you ring through a particular set of changes in a whole ring?
No, Dave?
The number of bells.
Number of bells, correct one to Dave.
Oh.
Diane, what is the easternmost of the 5 major Italian lakes in the foothills of the Alps?
Como.
No, Dave?
Garda?
Garda is correct one to Dave. Dave, now we're on to your questions. Sir Norman Reed succeeded Sir Alan Bowness as the director of which art gallery?
National Gallery.
No, we've got buzz from Paul.
Tate.
Tate is correct, 1 point to Paul. And Paul, your questions. The Kaiser annoyed England in 1896 by sending President Kruger a telegram. What did this telegram congratulate him on?
Defeating the Jameson raid.
Correct, yes.
Oh, yes.
George Balanchine was the artistic director of which American ballet company for over 30 years?
New York Ballet.
New York Ballet is correct. In what series of stories do references to Miss Meadows and the Gals appear frequently? Who they are is a mystery as they never show up.
Jeeves and Worcester.
No. Have I got any buzzes on that one? That's Joel Chandler Harris's Uncle Remus stories. And our scores are 14 to Kathryn, 6 to Diane, 11 to Dave, and 18 to Paul. So, Kathryn, your question. What is a rheostat used for?
Regulating the amount of current in an electrical circuit.
Paul?
It's regulating the resistance of the circuit.
It's the resistance, yes. One to
yes.
Paul. Diane, what does it signify in the United States if a pudding or pie on a menu is described as à la mode?
Served with ice cream.
Correct. What country's capital and only sizable town stands on the island of Mahe?
Which one is this? Seychelles.
Correct. What process was discovered by the American Charles Goodyear around the year 1840?
Volcanization.
Correct. What territory did Greece gain as a result of the Second World War?
Peloponnese.
No, I've got a buzz from Paul.
Macedonia.
No, have I got a buzz from anyone else? Dave?
Let's go for Corfu.
No, Kathryn?
Crete?
It's the Dodecanese Islands.
Oh,
Alex.
Dave, your
Something like-
question. Yeah, your question, Dave. The nomads of Central Asia use yurts. What are yurts?
Tents.
Tents. And if you listen back to the 1980 final, not only did the person giving the answer say it was a wild guess, they got a massive round of applause for knowing that yurts are tents. So how things have moved on in the world. Dave, to the nearest minute, how long does it take the light of the sun to reach the Earth?
8.
Correct. What capital city was badly damaged by an earthquake in 1923?
Ooh. Tokyo?
Correct. One of the most famous of all autobiographies was written by a 16th century sculptor who was also a goldsmith and engraver. Who was he?
Vasari?
No, Paul, I think I've got a buzz from you.
Bellini.
Cellini is correct. And onto your questions, Paul. What other now defunct publication does the Radio Times incorporate?
The Listener?
No. Dave, I've got a buzz.
I was going to say The Listener too.
No. Diane?
No, same thing.
No. Kathryn? No.
Nope.
That is World Radio, and that is conveniently the end of all the questions from the original final. So our scores are, in third place, Diane with 9. In joint second place on 14, we have Kathryn and Dave. But winning on 20, we have Paul. So congratulations, Paul. The winning score that year was 21. So your 20 is not far off. Briefly, what do people make of those questions?
Well, mostly all right. First round, I got a few easy questions in a row that gave me an advantage.
There was an abbreviation. I had never, ever heard of that before. I wasn't even guessing. I just absolutely no idea.
So thank you very much, everybody. I mean, as always with Brain of Britain, there's the random element with how the questions fall, but well played, everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Yes,
everybody.
it's very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cool.
Bye.